What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coop's House. It is now week 7 of the Squarebody build.
We both got off shift this morning, so we're both absolutely sleep deprived, so this week should be interesting.
Yeah, and not only that, we're obviously in a different area. We're at the gym this morning, going to start off the morning with a good pump.
Yeah. So, actually, you're not looking at the, the mess that we have in the shop
Yeah,
right now.
you're just looking at the mess in my car.
We won't go there. Anyway, so last week you saw that we actually got to finish up the C-notch on the frame. We actually got to paint the frame, and we pulled the Cummins out of the donor truck.
Yeah, the hard part's out the way.
Yes, thank God. So this week, we are actually going to start prepping the suspension for powder coat, and we're going to start seeing some color go on this thing.
Yep, and today we're actually going to be blasting all the suspension parts, get that ready for powder for Thursday because he's got to work tomorrow. So Thursday we'll get to powder, and we're actually going to go to our good buddies up north of where we're at, and he's actually going to let us use his shop to powder everything.
Yep, so we'll actually get to see some color this week, and we're fixing to be ready to start putting suspension on. We're actually going to start seeing some clean parts go on the newly painted frame, and then we're going to start actually getting ready to make this thing roll around, and we're going to be ready to put the motor on the frame and maybe get to hear it crank up on the C30 frame.
Maybe.
We know how our plans go, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we're going to go in here, we're going to get a pump on and, get our workout in for the day, and we're going to start getting to work. So let's do this thing.
Alright, so now that we are now done at the gym, I'm actually heading to Braden's. I've done went home, I've changed. I grabbed some food that I can warm up when I got to Braden's house. So we're going to head over there and we're going to eat, and then we're going to get straight to Sandblasting. So, see you guys there.
Alright guys, so we're in the shop. We went this morning, got a pretty decent workout in, so we are back and we're going to start getting all this suspension ready for powder coat. First things first, you guys remember from previous episode, the bushings were stuck in the relief springs. So we're going to take our hydraulic press here and we're going to try to press those out using a big socket. I'm sure there's a specific tool for this, but we don't have it. We have a hydraulic press and a really big socket. So, fixing to give this a shot, get these pressed out of here, start taking them apart, and get these things sandblasted. Well, we're on the road again. So the hydraulic press worked, sort of, for pressing those bushings out of there, but what we didn't realize is that there's an outer metal sleeve, a rubber bushing, and then an inner metal sleeve, and then the bolt goes through the inner metal sleeve. So what we pressed out with the socket and the press was just the inner metal sleeve with the bolt portion still in it. So, that being said, we don't have a way of getting that outer sleeve out because our method is not working with the press. So, we're headed to Harbor Freight again to go and grab an air hammer with a couple of chisel bits, and we're going to come back, we're going to heat up the ends of the spring with the torch, and then we're going to use the chisel to knock that outer bushing out. So I'm going to grab a air chisel and go back to the shop and try it again. Shop again. We went and picked up an air chisel. I went and picked up the torches that my papa left for me. So we are back here now, and we are going to get these shackles off, go ahead and heat up these springs to go ahead and try to release these bushings inside because they are seized. And then we're going to take the air hammer and try to knock them out of there, if it'll work, maybe. So, I guess we'll see. Who knows? Anyway, here we go.
Alright, it is now day 2 of the Squarebody build this week. As you can see, Braden's not here with me. He got mandatory for work, so I'm here by myself. We didn't get as far as we wanted to yesterday. As you can see, the bushings actually caused a problem with us yesterday. We tried to use the press and a socket, but all it did was push out the inner sleeve of the bushing and not the outer sleeve. And the outer sleeve is metal. So we actually had to run to Harbor Freight, get an air chisel, and then run to his grandparents' house and grab a torch and all that. That way we can beat it out with heat. So we did that and kind of ran out of time for me because I actually had to go eat dinner with my family last night. So he stayed here, he got everything taken apart for me and degreased everything for the front end components because it's super greasy, it's old, it came off an old truck, so it's gonna be super greasy. So I'm gonna pressure wash that real quick. I got about a total of 35 to 40 pieces I actually have to blast today. It shouldn't take me no longer than 2 hours because they're small. What's gonna really suck is the cross member that goes in the frame because it's got a bunch of nooks and crannies in it. So that's gonna take the longest, but that's probably gonna be the last thing I do. I'm gonna hit that with a sandblaster, but it's gonna be the first thing I hit with a pressure washer. So we're gonna go ahead and do that today and then maybe shoot for Thursday on the powder. Our guy is kind of like super busy, I should say. So he hasn't really been getting a hold of us because that's what we plan on doing is at his shop. But we have another buddy if anything fails. And if he can't do it, then we don't know what we're gonna do. So that's why we want to build our own powder coating oven. That way we don't have to rely on anybody. Not saying it's a bad thing, but kind of like puts a hold on us from what we want to do. We want to go ahead and knock this out. That way we can go ahead and get it out of the shop and get it driving it. So pretty soon we bought an old freezer and we're gonna actually transform that into a little mini oven, you know, to do small components that we can powder, and then eventually build a bigger one in the paint booth whenever we get that built. So enough talking, and let's get it blasting. Oh, as you can see, I just got done pressure washing. I'm a little on the soak side, you know, getting wet, but pressure washing's out the way. Now all we gotta do is sift sand. That way we can get all the big pieces of stuff out of the sand just in case, so it doesn't clog up our sandblasting machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and let's get to work. Okay, so we got the sand all sifted. We got on, I only did one bag. I mean, we got 5 more over there. And maybe the blaster won't give us any problems. Last time we were using masonry sand when we hit the frame. This time we're actually trying play sand since it's a lot, you know, thinner and all that. And here's all the impurities of all the other bags of sands that we used. Pretty much we're using a sifter to sift all the sand to get all the big pieces out so it doesn't clog. And we're just dumping it in this bucket. So that's one bag. It's a 5-gallon bucket, so you can see how much it takes. It shouldn't take more than 2 bags. It might take 3, considering the fact that we got so much stuff that we got to do. Like we got all these little pieces. Not doing that. So we got little pieces here, and all the leaf springs, and then all the components that are outside. Don't mind the mess. Let's clean that up soon. But yeah, so let's get rolling. I very much underestimated how long it would take to sandblast. The sandblaster was kind of like spit and sputtering a little bit, and a little bit of water was coming out because we don't have a dryer for our air compressor, so there's moisture in the system. So I was fighting that. I got about 5 of the leaf springs done. Something about that, yeah, about 5. And I had to sift sand, so that took a little while. But no worries, Braden's gonna be here tomorrow. I gotta be at work, so he'll probably knock this out while I'm at work. But still haven't heard anything back about the powder coating. I've been here for about 2 hours now, so I'm actually about to finish up and head out to the house. I got some stuff I gotta do this afternoon. So I'll see you guys Thursday, and Brandon will be here tomorrow.
What's going on, guys? So we are back today. This is the 3rd day this week working on the Squarebody build and getting everything ready for powder coat. So Hunter didn't get as far as we had hoped yesterday, sandblasting the suspension components because he is slow. Just kidding. Anyway, so I got off work this morning, so I'm out here. I'm going to get started, go ahead and try to get all this stuff knocked out because we are really hoping to go ahead and lay some powder tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this and try to get as far as I can get with sandblasting this stuff today. So hopefully we're ready tomorrow. So let's get started. All right, so I opted to go ahead and start blasting the front suspension parts and not focus so much on the leaf springs right now. So those things have a lot of rust, and right now the sand that I have that I'm blasting with isn't cutting it. So what I did was I decided just to go ahead and start blasting on the front, upper, and lower control arms, and I'm going to do the coil spring, so all the front suspension stuff that'll be powder coated. I'm going to end up going and getting some medium grade media from Tractor Supply in town, and coming back, and I'm actually going to use that to blast those leaf springs instead so that it'll take that stuff off a little bit better than the sand. But in the middle of blasting the upper control arm, I'll show you right here, you can see this thing has this crossbar in here, and it's got these nuts right here on each end, so these are actually screwed on here, and that's what holds this in here. They've got a grease fit in there so you can actually grease them. But what I've decided to do to make it a little bit easier to blast, and actually so it'll be the correct way, I'm going to go ahead and take these crossbars out, and I'm going to blast the entire thing, so that way when we powder coat it, there's no powder on these, and then I'll put them back in whenever I actually finish and get ready to put the suspension back together, re-grease it, and all that good stuff. But anyway, all you have to do is get these to where they'll spin freely, and then I'm using a big pair of channel locks, and those actually unscrew from the end. So once you unscrew those from the end, it'll free up this crossbar in the middle, and it's the same thing on the bottom. It's pretty well the same design. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out. I'm going to go ahead and get them all out of all the control arms, and then finish blasting, blast the front coil springs, and then we'll head into town to get some new media, come back, finish up the leaf springs, and hopefully we'll be able to get all this finished today. That way we can maybe powder tomorrow. So, thank you. Want to say real quick, for the record, never once did I say that it was going to be easy to pull those out, because it's not sometimes. The first one went smooth, and then I got the first lower, and it did not. So, yeah. So sometimes what happens in those is the grease inside will actually dry up, and it actually like bonds that outer nut to the rod. So what I ended up having to do with a couple of them was actually go inside, start up the torches, and heat it up, take it off with an impact. So this first one I took off with a pair of channel locks and a screwdriver. I held it still with a screwdriver and just unscrewed it with a pair of channel locks. But on the other ones, that was a little different story. So just bear in mind, it may not be easy if you're doing the same project. It may not be easy to take those out. You may have to get a little creative. So anyway, now that we got those out, I can go ahead and finally finish sandblasting these. So I'm going to hit these with some sand real quick, and then I'm going to grab the coil springs and see how the sand does on those, go ahead and get the rest of this stuff cleaned up, and then we're going to head to town and grab some different media to hit those leaf springs again and get those cleaned up the way that we want them. So let's get back to work. So, update. Made a trip to Tractor Supply, picked up some of the Black Diamond blasting media, and it won't work with the sandblaster that we have. The tip's too small, so it keeps clogging it up. So that being said, I guess I'm about to go back to town again and get some more sand. And hopefully finish this crap up today. Alright guys, so in case you haven't noticed, we are extremely ambitious and usually we push for far more than we can probably pull off in a week.
And this week is a very good example.
We have done it yet again. So the game plan this week was to go ahead and sandblast all the suspension parts and have them ready for powder coat. Well, when we started sandblasting the leaf springs, we realized they were a little worse off than we thought. And they took a lot of time. So, unfortunately, it is Thursday afternoon, late in the afternoon. So we're going to have to call it a week.
Yep.
So, Hunter has to go. I have just a couple of leaf springs left to sandblast. I'm going to finish those off camera over the weekend so that at the beginning of the week, Lord willing, we are ready to start spraying some powder. So, hopefully we get to do that next week. That's the game plan. That's what we're hoping for and holding on to at the moment. So anyway, again, guys, we're going to call it a week today. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so that you know when we post. But yeah, I guess that being said, we'll see y'all next week. And again, we appreciate all your...
I got something to add.
Oh.
Also, like our Facebook and our Instagram for behind the scenes action on Instagram and for whenever like future posts and stuff like that on Facebook, just in case we don't post on Fridays and we end up having to postpone it a week or a day late. So be sure to visit that.
We ain't doing it. We post it on Friday.
Yeah. But if that doesn't happen, you know where to find us.
All right, guys. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.